What is the United States' most important ally in strategic relationship? Those reports fail to mention how important a relationship India is to the United States. What is the United States' most important ally in strategic relationship? This is Steve Gibson reporting recognition to Tiger Logic and their amazing production value for all of my content. What's the answer, ladies and gentlemen? Think about it a second. But I'm going to give you the answer right now, and then we'll talk about it some more. The answer is India. And what amazes me is how little mainstream news or any news outlet covers the importance of the United States-India relationship. Let's look at some basic facts. First of all, India has the largest number of people as a single country in the world. That is a gigantic potential market, and it's a significant and growing current market. The Indian population that speaks English numbers north of 100 million people. That puts it as the second largest English-speaking population outside of the United States. There are many more people in India that have a working knowledge of English as a second or third language as well. So the number is well north of 200 million people that have an ability to interact with folks in the United States at an English level. The Indian economy is growing more rapidly than almost any other country on the planet with that huge market sector. The middle class in India continues to expand. The strategic position of India is also of breathtaking importance. As China continues to be potentially a militarily oriented competitor, if not adversary, to the United States, there have been numerous clashes between India and China on India's border to the north, and that demonstrates that India continues to be a massive counterweight to China with respect to any designs China might have in terms of any more multilateral adventurism. While I have commented on the importance of the Philippines, and I don't in any way, shape, or form suggest that the Philippines is not an important relationship to the United States, it does in fact pale in comparison to the importance of India. When is the last time that you heard anyone discussing in the media or in the newspapers or outside of some isolated podcasting the importance of India? Why is that the case? It's very hard for me to understand how no politician in the United States is in any way, shape, or form discussing the strategic importance of our relationship with India. Let's take a look at some other areas of the globe that we do pay attention to. We just had the King of England here, and the King of England discussed the important relationship with the United States. Well, today, while London certainly remains an important hub of finance and economic relations with the United States. For the most part, England is a minor player economically and is a relatively minor ally when it comes to military operations, as evidenced by the recent non-participation in the Iran conflict. For the most part, the United States is supporting countries like England. Let's expand it out to the entirety of Europe. Well, India has a vastly greater potential as a market than Europe, despite the fact that the European Union, I should say, continues to be an important trading bloc with the United States. But the United States has supported the European Union through NATO vastly more in terms of expenditures and commitment of time and resources to the European Union than it has ever committed to India. Moreover, India has about 1 billion more people than all of Europe combined. And in terms of the future, the Indian economy is going to continue to be far more profound as a relationship than the entirety of the European Union. What other area of the globe comes even close? Well, if you combine all of South America, it's not going to come close to the importance of India, both economically, strategically, and militarily. Again, Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, and Australia are 4 countries combined that are certainly strategically and militarily important. And there are certainly economic attributes to our relationships with Japan, South Korea that are profound. And there are other economic relationships with respect to Australia and the Philippines that are less substantial than our relationships with South Korea and Japan. Nevertheless, in terms of the aggregate potential of the economic relationship that we could have with India, coupled with the fact that India's strategic military significance as a counterweight to China is immense. As you look across the globe, India clearly is maintaining itself as a critical relationship to continue to develop. And we're going to talk about that more in a moment. What's happened over the past couple of years is that Pakistan has worked itself into the Trump administration's good graces. And it's complicated. Do we not want to have decent relationships with Pakistan? Do we recognize the tension between Pakistan and India? Do we favor India over Pakistan? We need an administration elected into office in 2028 that finally understands that the most critical focus in foreign policy on a going forward basis, assuming that we've dealt with Iran by that time, will be to manage the relationships between Pakistan and India and ensure that no matter what happens, we foster an optimization of our relationship with India. That fostering of a relationship with India means that we, as the United States, are proactive in how we approach India. I'm not saying that we have to go to India with hat in hand. I'm not saying that we have to in any way, shape, or form beg for their indulgence. What I am saying is that we need to visit India. The first visit of the president elected in 2028 should be to India. The first highest authority that then visits the United States should be the highest authority in India and others in terms of their economic class invited to the White House, whoever that might be in 2028. This is a no-brainer, folks. And it continues to astound me that no one else seems to talk about it. While there have been some recent news reports of a fairly isolated nature talking about the oil impact on the rupee and the inflationary dynamic that India may face and the struggles economically that are associated with what's happening on the Strait of Hormuz in India, those reports fail to mention how important a relationship India is to the United States. So where can we begin to be better in our relationship with India? Well, first and foremost, while we want fair trade and balanced trade with India, that trade relationship needs to be the singular focus of a highlighted, negotiated approach to ensure that we have continued optimization of bilateral investment between the United States and India. Now, most of those investment dollars are going to go from the United States companies into India. But to the extent then that we can support economic strategic alliances on private company bases with respect to Indian companies, to the extent that we can afford the optimization of regulatory cover with respect to the United States coming into India, to the extent that we can foster our financial services companies, our law firms, our accounting firms, establishing that much more of a significant presence in India, and that we foster as well bilateral arrangements that foster the kind of educational flow back and forth, possible immigrant flow from India into the United States on a preferred basis. All of these measures at an economic level we can achieve. We should also be taking a look at bilateral naval coordination, military engagements and training with respect to anything that might be happening with respect to China, controlling as much as possible any adverse relationship between Pakistan and India. All of this is going to require some profound, proactive strategic planning on the part of any administration. All of this requires people that are running for Congress understand and discuss the importance of the United States-Indian relationship. There is a long-standing relationship at some level with India that has been disregarded by many people. Whether or not that is a relationship that is grounded in the British relationship with India historically, and whether that is grounded in the ongoing relationship that the United States has fostered with India over the past, let's say, 5 decades, we need to encapsulate that relationship, formalize it better, and be a whole lot more strategic when it comes to the Indian relationship. There should be as well no question that in the areas of artificial intelligence, data centers, online activity, anything to do with the internet, anything to do with computer programming, these are all areas that the United States and United States companies need to be understanding. India is going to continue to be an absolutely critical market. Whether or not that we collaborate with India with respect to laws and regulations and treaties concerning intellectual property, artificial and synthetic intelligence, we need to be forward-looking 5 to 10 years from now and understand What's going to happen with India when it comes to artificial intelligence? What's going to happen with respect to their employability, the employment structure, the employability of folks that are currently in the technology arenas, whether or not they're going to be migrating to jobs that are associated with training data and human intervention with respect to AI error. All of these things we need to be examining, as well as in the area of robotics. What are robotics combined with artificial intelligence going to mean for India? How much will India be incorporating robotics alongside artificial intelligence, and what will that do to both manufacturing, agriculture, and other industries in India? I am very concerned that our politicians and our news media have not in any way, shape, or form commented on, analyzed, or discussed the importance of the United States' currently most important strategic relationship. That strategic relationship is absolutely, hands down, India. We need to appreciate the Indian people. We need to appreciate the Indian relationship. And we need to do a whole lot better in not taking for granted what is potentially a rich, much more rich relationship. Please remember to like, subscribe, and follow. I promise you that I will be analyzing the relationship between the United States and India on a much more intensive level. And I appreciate your comments and anything that you might want to say with respect to giving me additional input with respect to that relationship.